welcome to the Monday night class. I'm going to give a class with Bhagavad, and I'm Ramchandasi. We're very happy to have you join us for the Kirtan and class, and please keep commenting. It's very helpful to hear from you. And thank you again, we really appreciate you. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Tinamine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Swarupananda Paramahamsa Itinamine Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gorakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Kristayate Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gorakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Kristayate Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gorakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Kristayate Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharine Nivasesha Sanyavadi Kaskacha Satarine Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharine Nivasesha Sanyavadi Kaskachar Desatarine Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gopaktavinda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gopaktavinda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Sripad Paramahansa Arivadika Satara Sata Shishimad Jigakuru Siddhaswarupananda Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parirajika Satara Sata Shishimad. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Gauda Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Asadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Nitai Goswell Mission Ki Jai. Navadvita Dhamma Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Mayapodam Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta-vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Amagina Timurandasya Ganagana Salakaya Chaksurun Militanyena Tajmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Statpitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantekam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajaivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavenbhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrindam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Shrimate Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahansa Niti Namine, Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahansa Namine, Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prastayate. I offer my respectful obeisances on the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Jagakuru Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahansa Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada is the mercy manifestation of Lord Chaitanya, Gaura Karuna Swarupaya, and very dear to Radha and Krishna, Radha Krishna Prastayate. And I offer my respects, full obeisances, and all of you, the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who like wish-fulfilling trees, able to fulfill all the desires of the fallen living entities, and are full of compassion upon them. Haribol, Namaste. So just a reminder, if anyone's not familiar, the verses that I recite prior to Bhagavad Gita classes are known as the Mangala Charana. Mangala is auspicious, and Acharana is recitation or invocation. So auspicious invocation. So these are found in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita by Srila Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So in these different verses help put us in the appropriate consciousness for studying Bhagavad Gita. So first we offer our respects to our spiritual master who opened our darkened eyes with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Then we offer our respectful obeisances to Srila Rupa Goswami, who had the Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam, the empowered representative of Lord Chaitanya, who's spreading the message of Lord Chaitanya and teaching it purely. Srila Rupa Goswami was one of the leading disciples of Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya instructed him to, along with other of the Goswamis, to codify these Gaudiya Vaishnava teachings, as they're now known as, but the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And in the Vandeham prayer, we offer our respects to the spiritual masters and to the six Goswamis, and to Lord Chaitanya and his associates, Lord Nityananda, Sri Advaita, and then to Shri Radha and Krishna and their companions, Sri Lalita and Sri Vishaka. Then to Sri Krishna and Srimati Radharani, all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Then the Panchatattva Mahamantra, and then the Mahamantra, the great mantra for deliverance of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So by reciting these verses, it puts us into the right frame of mind or the right consciousness for approaching Bhagavad Gita, this divine conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. And as Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 72, this sacred conversation of ours, if one studies this sacred conversation of ours, then one worships me by their intelligence. So studying Bhagavad Gita is actually an act of worship. We can worship Krishna with our with our body, with our activities, with our material assets, our money, our bank account, our car, whatever it may be. But we can also worship Krishna or engage in Krishna's devotional service by engaging our intelligence in Krishna's service. And so study of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, but in particular Bhagavad Gita, is a wonderful transcendental activity that we can engage in to deepen our understanding and appreciation of these wonderful teachings of which we are the recipients of, coming through the disciplic succession of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, which Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada made so much effort to bring to the West. And he made so much effort to get the Bhagavad Gita as it is published. Initially when he got it published, he was only able to publish an abridged version. You've probably all seen it. It doesn't have the Sanskrit. Doesn't have the Sanskrit Devanagari. Doesn't have the word-for-word synonyms, and then doesn't even have the transliterated Sanskrit, just has the English verse and the purport. So it took some years for Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to be able to get the Macmillan Publishing Company to actually take it on and publish it. And actually this was the second commentary or purported version of Bhagavad Gita that Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada had prepared in English. And the first one he'd prepared, it just went missing from his home. And obviously someone stole it. And this was greatly, if you can imagine, translating a Bhagavad Gita into English and writing purports, which he was intending for a Western-speaking audience, and then to have it be stolen. Of course, this was, a devastating and very disappointing loss for Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami. He never knew who actually took it. But on another occasion, he had his Bhagavatams, or some of his books, and his business wasn't going so well. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, at different times, his business was quite successful, and then other times he went through quite a lot of financial difficulty with the various businesses he established and ran. He was a pharmacist, and anyway, so one time money was tight, and his wife Radharani took one of his books and went and sold it, so she could get money to buy tea biscuits, and of course, tea, the British and Indian habit is to have a biscuit that you can dunk in the tea and then eat the biscuit. I used to do this in Australia. It's not done in America. Anyway, they're kind of like these biscuits that you dunk in the tea and then eat the biscuit. So anyway, his wife Radharani sold one of his books to buy tea biscuits, and this was like the final straw. At this point, then Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami took Vanaprastha and left home. So anyway, so we don't know who took his first translation of Bhagavad Gita. But he also actually made a translation into Bengali as well, and did it in a way that was, that rhymed. And so it had, the Sanskrit, or it had a meter to it, and it's called Gita Gan. So, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, very much studied Bhagavad Gita. So this was common, of course, for many of the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was a huge scholar, known as Saraswati. This was a name that was given to him after he'd written a book on astrology. And he's honored with the title Saraswati, which of course is the name of the goddess of learning. And anyways, huge scholar. So his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was also a fantastic scholar, wrote so many books, as I've discussed before, re-establishing the almost completely lost teachings, the pure teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and putting them in so many different books, and in beautiful song books, 4 beautiful song books, then also the Jaiva Dhamma, Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, his most comprehensive book setting out the philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, but a large number of other works as well, commentaries on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and on Sri Isha Upanishad, and anyway, so many different books, Harinam Chintamani and Sri Bhajana Rahasya, that we studied and discussed a little bit in Healing Chant 108. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he also did a translation of Bhagavad Gita into Bengali, and he expanded on the verses, so it was like the style of which Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada took up for Krishna book and Nectar of Devotion, where the translation of the verse contains a commentary within it. So although he's like translated each of the verses are very free translations with quite extensive commentary within them. Not every verse, but many of the verses are done like this. So anyways, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, great scholar, great author, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was, like immensely intellectual, and he didn't write so many books himself. He mainly published the works of his father, and he made commentaries on various different works, and of course he gave many lectures, wrote many letters, published magazines, and so within these magazines and lectures, which were the magazines contained many of his lectures, and these have gradually been republished into English. And so anyway, many of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples were, huge scholars, Sanskritists and so on. And so Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami was also very scholarly, and his Bhagavad Gita as it is recognized throughout the Western world and throughout India as being, very scholarly in the way that he did it. And so, of course, from our point of view as simple devotees, we're not so necessarily aware of the scholarship that went into it, but we just greatly appreciate being the recipients of all this, of Bhagavad Gita. Without Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, we would know nothing of Bhagavad Gita. We wouldn't know how to read it or understand it or have any idea who Krishna is or why he's speaking to this person called Arjuna, and so on. So anyway, so we're very fortunate. And so studying with this Bhagavad Gita, which Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has given us, is worshipping Krishna by our intelligence. So Krishna says, Ajasyati chaya imam damyam samvadam avayaho jnana yagnena tenaham ishtasha miti me matihi. So this is, he who studies this sacred conversation of ours, this damyam samvada, worships me by his intelligence. Jnana yagnena tenaham. So jnana, knowledge, tenaham, worships me. Jnana yagnena tenaham. Ishtasha miti me matihi. So we've been studying over the last several weeks the sequence of verses, beginning with chapter 2, text 30, I think is where it starts. Yeah, text, or 31, from 31 to 36, where there's a sequence of verses where Krishna tells Arjuna from just a practical point of view why he should fight. And he's, as I was preparing for tonight's class, I was reading some of the verses in chapter 1, and I was thinking, and in particular, this chapter 1, text 31, where Arjuna says, I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsman in this battle. Nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. So he's saying, and again this word, shreyas, shreya, ultimate good, nacha shreyo anupashyami, right? Shreyas, shreyo is auspiciousness. And I spoke last week about, or at least I think I did, about the the ultimate good, the difference between prayas and shreyas. Prayas is short-term good. So like, from Arjuna's perspective, it might be a short-term good for him to run away from the battlefield. Then he could avoid having to kill all these beloved relatives and wouldn't have to risk his own life. And, so from a short-term point of view, a prayas point of view, this could seem like a good idea. But from a shreyas point of view, ultimate good, no, this would be a terrible idea. But here in this verse, chapter 1, text 31, Arjuna is saying, I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsman in this battle. Nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory. Nakankshe vijayam Krishna, kingdom or happiness. Nacha rajam sukhani cha. So sukha is happiness, and rajam is enjoying a kingdom. So, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, Arjuna is just being really negative. It's like he's in a really negative frame of mind. He's just looking at the whole situation, and he's viewing a world through a paradigm or a filter of negativity. And he goes on, of course, from this is sort of like or just in text 30, he says, I can see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon, so Keshava. And so Arjuna, he's looking at this situation, and he's becoming really depressed and negative. And this is like such a bad state of mind to be in, right? If we get overcome with negativity and depression, and I'm not talking here about depression, which can be clinically diagnosed and becomes like a really where you need some kind of help. Talking more here, just in a temporary situation, and where we're dealing with adverse circumstances and becoming depressed and negative. And and then Arjuna goes on from making these statements to then come up with reasons about why it's such a negative, bad situation. So to justify his negativity and his depression. And so I was thinking about this, how we can often find ourselves in this situation ourselves. We get faced with adverse circumstances in our life, and we get very negative, and we can get quite depressed about it. And some people, have a constant state of negativity. There's like, I'm sure you perhaps know people like this, or maybe even you're like this. Hopefully not, being nice devotees, but we bring our mentality with us from our previous life. The subtle body and the life airs, they transmigrate from one body to another. So we can bring our past consciousness with us. And Lord Paramatma, Super Soul, reminds us, as Krishna says in chapter 15, text 15, you know, Mata Shmita Pohanam Cha, from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. And so the Paramatma reminds us of what we're into and what our interests are and what our tendencies are and so on. And so anyway, so this mentality, we can bring it with us. And also there's the concept within the Vedic literatures and within Vedic society, and also very much in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, this idea of samskaras, you know, that the mind gets into a pattern, and we can get into a situation where we, you know, in other words, the mind goes to where it's comfortable. It gets into this groove, and if we have a groove or a pattern of being negative and depressed, well then whenever we get faced with difficult situations, we'll just immediately go into that pattern. And so that's not a good place to be, right? Not a good place to be, because, you know, it's a much better place to be in a positive place, right? We all know this, right? So positivity, having a good attitude, this is like incredibly important to getting through life and getting ahead and being successful. And you know, in spiritual life as well as material life. You know, like if in material life you're just like, just depressed, and no, I'm just negative, no, I don't want to do that, and no, I'll never succeed at that, I won't be able to do that, I can't do that, no, and I got a list of 25 reasons why I can't do it, and why I don't want to do it, and how the world's unfair, and how the situation's not fair, and how you did this to me, and it's not fair, and the world's not fair, and you know, you'll just never get anywhere. So of course with our children and so on, we always try to engender within them, you know, a positive attitude towards life, that, hey, yes, you can do it, you know, and so we should always be encouraging of others. So anyway, so so here Arjuna's in this situation where he's just being all negative. He's giving all kinds of reasons why it's not a good idea to do this, and he's being all depressed, you know. And then so, you know, as with ourselves, you know, if we get into a situation like that, then we need someone to help us get out of it, someone to wake us up. You know, hey, get out of this negativity that you're in. You know, I remember one time many years ago, 1986, when I first came to Hawaii to try and assist Srila Prabhupada with his different projects. So actually it was all because of Tusta. You know, after I was you know, received initiation from Srila Prabhupada in 1985, December 1985, then the next year, Tusta wanted me to come up and help with the project, because I'm an accountant, or an accountant by profession, or training anyway. And anyway, Tusta wanted me to come up and give some advice on a particular project. And you know, so anyway, I came up just for 3 weeks to help, or try and help. And anyway, at the end of the 3 weeks, I wrote a report, which in those days was very difficult. Anyway, I used somebody else's computer, and computers in those days were like much bigger than they are these days. And so anyway, I was able to, you know, prepare a report, and in those days I was Hunter and Pecker. actually that's anyway a bit of an aside, but one of the best things I ever did was learn how to type properly, and it was so difficult. It was so difficult to break the habit of looking at the keyboard and hunting and pecking to get to the point where I could look at the screen and just touch type. And anyway, by doing that, I'd saved myself, probably an hour a day, because all I do is basically sit at my computer and send emails pretty much, maybe write some reports or documents. But anyway, I remember when I was doing that, it was like, I was nearly giving up. It was so hard to break these bad habits, and I was getting really negative about it. Anyway, it's just one thing I've learned from Prabhupada is determination. Prabhupada is so determined. But anyway, the point I was going to make, so anyway, I came up here under Tusta's instigation, and anyway, did this project. And then it was like, oh, okay, well, what are we going to do with this? There's all these recommendations, but how are we going to implement them? So then, it was decided I would come back and implement them, or help implement them. And this is what, brought me back to Hawaii in 1986. And anyway, so while I was there, of course, lots of things happened. And, anyway, then Prabhupada wanted to move from Hawaii, wanted to go to the mainland. And so I got the job of organizing this move. Actually, at that time, Prabhupada used to, I don't know how this happened. Anyway, he used to call me, I was like Prabhupada's right-hand man, was what he used to call me, at least for a period of time, and until I got fired, and then got fired permanently. But anyway, as part of this role, it was, my job was to help try and find a house, a place where Prabhupada could stay on the mainland. And of course, there was lots of criteria. And so we had people out on the mainland, looking, and anyway, they'd find houses and send these reports about them with lots of photos and lots of information, and for one reason or another, they'd all get rejected. And so anyway, so then one time I was, walking with Prabhupada, and I thought we'd found one that was pretty good, and then Prabhupada rejected it, and I was like, I don't think we'll ever find a place that'll work, and then Prabhupada really, was very displeased with me and chastised me, that I was supposed to be the general here. And if you're the general and you're defeated, well, this is basically useless. You'll infect everyone else with your negativity, and of course you won't succeed. If you don't think you're going to succeed, well, of course you won't succeed. You're beaten already. And so anyway, as I was thinking about this in connection with Arjuna's situation, and so Arjuna's in this like negative state, this negative frame of mind, and so he needs someone, just as I needed Prabhupada to wake me up and get me out of my spiral of negativity, and get on with it, get on with what needs to be done. So, Krishna, he listens to Arjuna's, negativity and all his, rationalizations and so on for why he shouldn't fight. And then he, in chapter 2, at the beginning, chastises him a bit, tries to wake him up. He says, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They're not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. And earlier Arjuna has put it the opposite way, that if we engage in this, it'll be terrible. How will we get to go to heaven? And we'll be infamous for doing such bad stuff. And then Krishna is turning it around, that it's actually the opposite. Anarya jasta mashvagyam akriti karam Arjuna. So, these values are not at all befitting a man who knows the values of life. They lead not to the higher planets, swaga, but to infamy, akirti. So Krishna kind of whacks him on the side of the head. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart, and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. So Krishna chastises Arjuna. So he's trying to wake him up out of this negativity, this depression that Arjuna is in. He's waking him up by being very direct and to the point. And of course Prabhupada is very direct and very to the point. As you can know from listening to his lectures, but also if you've worked on one of his projects, or if you've been closely around Prabhupada, then you'll know very quickly how direct and to the point Prabhupada can be. So then after that, Arjuna sort of spins out a bit and kind of fights back, pushes back, and then finally, even coming to the point saying that, look, I don't even want to live. I don't even want to live if I've got to fight these worshipable superiors like Bhishma and Drona, and even the sons of Dhritarashtra. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. So Arjuna is so despondent. He's ready to die, with no weapons in his hand. And but finally he sort of realizes, well, he shouldn't be in this state. This is, he says, I'm confused about my duty, and I've lost all composure. And then finally he turns to Krishna and asks Krishna to instruct him. So then Krishna gives him the big picture, right? So it's kind of like, it's like if sometimes you're lost in some negativity and you're dealing with depression, and and it's like, man, this is what life is, right? Birth, diseases, old age, and death. Janma, Mritu, Vyadi, Jara. Right? Janma, birth, Mritu, death, Jara, old age, Vyadi, disease. This is the nature of this world, right? And the three kinds of material miseries, the Adhyatmika, miseries caused by the body and mind, Adhibhautika, miseries caused by other living entities, and Adhyatmika, miseries caused by the natural and social forces, or Daiva refers to the gods, the demigods, right? And so, it's just constant. It's never ending. All the different, there's, of course, all the never ending, all the different problems and issues that we face as we live our life, right? Of course, every now and again there's a little bit of happiness there. Might get to go surfing or something, catch a good wave, or might have some nice friends, and might even luck out and get a good spouse, so might have some nice children. But regardless, even no matter if you've got a wonderful spouse and nice children, you're still going to experience difficulties, and you're still going to experience birth, diseases, old age, and death, and you're still going to have hassles caused by your own body and mind, and hassles caused by other living entities, and hassles caused by the demigods, natural and social forces. So, we need to understand the big picture, right? So if we get into a negative situation, then we need to understand the big picture. The big picture is, this is the way life is. And then Krishna, in describing the big picture to Arjuna, describes to him about that, look, get some perspective on life here, Arjuna. Understand that you are the soul, the Dehi who is inhabiting the Deha, the possessor of the body, the inhabitant of the body, the embodied soul, does not die. You're eternally an individual. You never come into being, you don't come into being, you never will come into being. And that leaving this body is just like a change of dress. And those who are wise are not bewildered by this change of dress. They don't lament over the change of dress. And Krishna explains this in so many different ways that, you're not the body, you cannot die. You don't need to lament for anyone. There's no need to lament. Nobody dies. They are eternal. They don't die when the body dies. Na hanyate hanyamani sari re. You're not slain when the body is slain. You can't kill anyone. So he's giving Arjuna like the big picture, right? The big picture that's really going on. And so we should try and have this big picture perspective of the reality of life in this world. Right? This is the big picture. Just no matter how difficult or negative the situation may appear, we should have the big picture in mind and understand that I am eternal spirit soul. I'm the dominated part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, and my function is to render loving service to Krishna. Right? And if initially I don't have that actual love, then I engage in sadhana bhakti, the bhakti yoga in practice. I practice it. And by engaging in the practices of sadhana bhakti, then bhakti, actual love for God or bhakti, will manifest in my life through the grace of my guru and my spiritual master and Krishna. And so we need to have this big picture in mind, right? And this understanding that this is the nature of the material world. And so Krishna, he's given the big picture. You're not the body, you're eternal spirit soul. Then he explains, well, the nature of life is that everybody dies. So on the one side, it's like, you're spiritual in essence, you are eternal. And then from the point of view of looking at things from the body point of view, well, everybody dies. And everybody is unmanifest in the beginning, manifest for a little while, and then unmanifest at the end. This is the nature of life in this world. And this is just the way it is. And this shouldn't stop you from performing your duty. So you have a duty to perform. We have to do what Krishna wants us to do. We have to, we've received this opportunity of the human form of life and the opportunity of life itself. And so we have to perform our duty, taking advantage of what we've been given. As Krishna will say in text 37 in just a moment. So anyway, Krishna's given Arjuna the big picture. It's like waking him up, right? First of all, chastising him. What are you doing? You're just being what you're doing is not at all befitting a person who understands the higher values of life. What you're talking about won't lead to heaven. It actually leads to hell. And you won't achieve fame from it. It'll lead to infamy. And then, gives him the big picture that you're not the body, that you're eternal spirit soul, and that the body is temporary and it will die, and no one should be bewildered by this. So then after giving Arjuna this sort of bigger perspective, then Krishna then comes and talks, addresses some of the points that some of the reasons Arjuna has brought up in chapter 1, and explains from a practical point of view about, in other words, applying what Krishna has just taught him about not being the body, about being eternal, and that the body dies, but the soul doesn't die. So then it's like, okay, So now, applying this in a practical way to your situation and just dealing with the practicalities of what you're about to deal with, then Krishna says, considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. So you should fight, Arjuna. Right? This is your duty as a Kshatriya. So this whole concept, which I've spoken about at length, but this idea of duty, responsibility, and how important this is in Vedic society, this swadharma, your own specific duty according to the particular varna and ashrama you're in and your family situation, which is part of your ashrama, how important it is to fulfill your duties. This is actually Krishna's desire, that we fulfill our varnashram duties and that we observe dharma, duties and responsibilities, and the laws, the social codes that have been established. The Manu Samhita and the different Dharma Shastras and Artha Shastras and so on, that we follow these principles that have been laid down that are coming from Krishna himself. Krishna appears to protect to protect the devotees, to annihilate the miscreants, and to re-establish the principles of religion. So this is Krishna's desire for us, for society, for human mankind, to follow these rules of Dharma, these rules of Varnashram Dharma. So, O Partha, happy are the Kshatris to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. Swaga Dwaram, the doors are wide open. So these are like positive things. Okay, Arjuna, you should fight. This is the best thing for you, to fight, to fulfill your swadharma, to fight according to religious principles. And then, Arjuna, you should be happy about it. The Kshatriya, O Partha, happy are the Kshatris to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, because this opens the door to heaven for you. And then Krishna then starts to put it from a negative point of view. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, in other words, if you don't fulfill your dharma, your dharmic responsibilities, then you will certainly incur sins or future pain for neglecting your duties, for neglecting your dharma, and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. So this is dealing with the reality of Arjuna's psychology. He is a Kshatriya, he has a fantastic reputation. And, this will be sinful for you to not fulfill your duties, and you will, not only that, but you'll lose your reputation as a fighter. Someone who doesn't fulfill their dharma or their duty or their responsibility, their reputation is just destroyed. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. And so that then brings us to the verses that I was going to speak on tonight, but actually I've managed to use up all the time before we actually studied the verses that I wanted to speak on. And of course these verses are kind of quite simple, and they build upon this verses that I just read. And I'll read them, and then next week we'll get into them in detail. I've got quite a few very interesting notes from the commentaries of the Acharyas. But Krishna says, the great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant, lagavan, a lightweight. So previously they've highly esteemed you, Arjuna. You've been held in high regard, and they're actually fearful of fighting you. And then if you leave the battlefield, they're going to accuse you of having done it out of fear, in other words, that you're a coward, and thus they will consider you a lightweight. You know, whereas previous, like, you know, if you can imagine someone who's so important. You know, I've experienced this myself sometimes. You know, I think I'm so important. In fact, I shouldn't say sometimes, all the time. And, you know, if you meet someone who doesn't think you're important and they treat you as someone who's not important, then you kind of go, wait a minute, what's going on here? Don't you realize it's me? And I'm so important. Why are you treating me like I'm not important? You know, we get kind of upset, or we get kind of like disturbed by it, you know. And this is me, Bhagavad. Don't you know who I am? The great Bhagavad. You know, so the great Mark, you know, I run a business with, you know, several hundred employees, and if they don't know who I am, it's because I actually just sit at home sending emails all day, so people don't know. People in my business I run don't know me that well. Then they, you know, it's kind of like, hey, what's wrong with you? You know, anyway, for Arjuna to be treated as a lightweight, this is going to be like absolutely shocking. It's like, I mean, you know, Arjuna is not a lightweight. He's like a total heavyweight. You know, he is like the most famous soldier there on the battlefield. And for the greatest soldier to then be treated as a nobody, as a lightweight, is just like, you know, shocking. Your enemies will describe you in so many unkind words and scorn your ability. So the literal, or the synonym that Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada gives is vilify. You know, they'll vilify you. And, you know, it's like they'll just talk so badly about you and vilify you. You know, what could be more painful for you? So, I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure what happened tonight. I had a few ideas that I wanted to speak on, and then they expanded to fill up the whole class. So, sorry about that. So, as I say, even though these verses can seem so simple, and these aren't even really philosophical verses, which we'll shortly be getting into the actual more philosophical aspects of Bhagavad Gita. In 239, Bhagavad Gita changes, and we'll get into much more philosophical concepts. So we'll have discussions about those, and we'll be discussing less about Arjuna and the battle of Kurukshetra and Drona and Bhishma. All that will fade much more into the background. So anyway, next week we'll study these verses and read the commentaries of Keshava Kashmiri and Baladeva Jabusana, Ramanuja Acharya, Madhvaracharya. And so anyway, so thank you very much. We'll have a little short kirtan, and we'll see you next week. Haribol Krishna. Just have to get the kirtan leader. You coming, Radhisha?
Okay.
All right, ma'am. Now, if you don't have any questions, you can actually go ahead and perform the reset network settings. From
Okay.
my end, I'll refresh your signal manually as well, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Not a problem, Miss Sandra. You do have a wonderful evening, you and your loved ones.
Okay. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye for now.
Sorry, everyone. Was having a phone problem.
Sandra, ma'am?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to do the reset network settings. It will automatically drop our call, okay?
All right. I'm doing it now.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. There you go. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Namaste. Thank you very much.
Wishing you all the best. Nice to have you here, Harry Ball.